Hi there. An organism is the material structure of an individual life form, and biology is the study of life and living organisms. That includes the structure and function of the human body. We are, after all, organisms. So it's important that we distinguish living things from non-living things. There is no single determining factor that constitutes life. So we use an array of characteristics that are unique to living organisms. Let's take a look. The first characteristic of living organisms is a high level of organization. Living organisms spend a lot of energy making sure everything inside is in working order to maintain optimal health. Our second characteristic is the mechanism used to maintain that order, and it's called homeostasis. The environment is an unstable atmosphere, but the inside of an organism requires stability. Homeostatic mechanisms are constantly monitoring the internal conditions of an organism and adjusting them when they get out of optimal ranges. One level of organization is our third characteristic, cells. All living organisms are comprised of cells. Some are a single cell, like bacteria. Others, like humans, are tens of trillions of cells working together to compose the body's structure and perform all of the body's functions. You've probably eaten something recently, and your body used the nutrients you consumed to produce something. For example, you drank a glass of milk, and your body broke down the protein in that milk into amino acids. Those amino acids then get used to build a different protein that your body needs, like an enzyme or a muscle fiber. This is our fourth characteristic, metabolism. Metabolism is the cellular activity inside your body that breaks down molecules and uses their components to build new ones. Metabolism is divided into two phases: catabolism, which is the breaking down phase, and anabolism, the building or synthesis phase. One characteristic that is required of living organisms, but is not unique to living organisms, is responsiveness. We use sensory receptors to respond to changes in our internal and external environments. Humans use the nervous system for this feature, but all organisms have some aspect of responsiveness. We have to respond to changes in the environment to survive, and if we can't monitor those changes and then respond to them, survival is not an option. The word movement can mean multiple things. Lots of organisms can move themselves around, but even those that can't can still move molecules and nutrients around inside their own bodies. These kinds of movements are unique to living organisms. The last three characteristics of living organisms are kind of related. One day you were born, but before that, an egg cell from your biological mother was fertilized by a sperm cell from your biological father. Those two organisms produced a new organism by passing the selected version of their genes on to you. That's called reproduction, and it's unique to living things. After that fertilization took place, you began as one cell with no specific structure or function, what we call a stem cell. That cell divided into two cells, then 4, 8, 16, 32, and so on. Eventually, you became the 50 or so trillion cells you have today. Most of those cells are now specialized, like skin cells, brain cells, muscle cells, liver cells, etc. The changes in the structure and function of your body over time is called development, and it's divided into two separate processes. The development of those unspecialized stem cells into specialized cells of your tissues is called differentiation. And the change in size you encountered as your cells grew in number is called growth. The last characteristic of living organisms is a result of reproduction. When our genetic material gets copied so we can make sperm cells and egg cells, sometimes errors occur. We call those errors mutations. Most of them are inconsequential and some of them are harmful. But some of them are actually an advantage to surviving in the environment. Over time, as individuals with those advantages survive longer, their genes get passed on to offspring more frequently than others, and those mutations begin to appear in the population at a higher rate. This changes the structure and function of the organisms in that population. We call this evolution. It's the changes in a population over time and generations. It's not a characteristic of one organism, but it's a characteristic found in a changing population of organisms. So there you have it, a list of multiple characteristics that separate living things from non-living things. Keep these in mind because they apply to a lot of the topics you'll be studying in A&P. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.